The inventory of a conservator. Hi, I'm Darren Findling of the Probate Pro, and we're going to cover SCAO Form PC 674. SCAO, State Court Administrative Order, PC for probate court, and the form is 674. This form can be readily obtained through the internet, or you're welcome to call my office. We're happy to provide it free of charge. As you can see from the red rectangle where the title is, it is a particular type of form used in a particular context. In this case, a conservatorship. It's not the same inventory that's used in a deceased probate administration. And it can also be used, although it says conservator, in the very narrow circumstances where a guardian may be managing assets and there's a need for the guardian to not only do annual reporting about the well-being of the individual, but also some accounting to the court as to assets upon which they are managing. Now, with all of these state court administrative order forms, they are created by various statutes and court rules. And as you can see from the hovering arrow, I've highlighted the two that are referenced on the form. MCL is a statute, 700.5417, and that statute provides that the conservator has to fill this out, file it, and then serve it within 56 days, and it's to be served also upon the upon the protected individual upon which they're serving as the fiduciary. It's filed with the court, and it's served upon any of the interested parties as set forth in the Court Rule 5.125 and 5.105. So again, I'm using a lot of statutes and court rules, and with this form, like any of the other state court administrative order forms, we strongly urge you to work with a skilled, competent probate lawyer to make sure that you understand how to use the form to be assured that you don't breach your fiduciary duties. The core rule that's referenced here is MCR 5.409, and again, this relates specifically to inventories in the guardianship context. It happens, but not that often. So let's address this form and understand how you complete it. In the top left corner, in the blue rectangle, you'll see you identify the county upon which the probate conservatorship is pending. In the top right corner, the case number, the file number. The top section has a little bit of a note, what they call a use note. And it says that you have to complete the inventory and serve it upon the interested parties as subject by the court rules. That's 5.105 and 5.125, which identify who the interested parties are within a conservatorship context. In addition, there is a requirement that after it's completed, filed, and served, that a proof of service is then completed, and that's SCAO Form PC 564. I've covered that form in another video. You're happy, you can watch that video to understand how that form is used and filed. And then, of course, it has to be filed with the court to show evidence that it was done and served according to the statute and court rule. In the matter of, in that section, it's simply an identification of the name of the estate, the name of the conservatorship estate. In the I section, you're identifying the name. You are the conservator. You may be the successor conservator. You may be a special conservator, but you are the conservator. You identify your name, and you are asserting to the court that you're submitting a complete and accurate inventory of all of the assets that include the market valuations as of the date that you became the conservator. So you want to get a valuation around the date you became the conservator. So a bank statement that identifies or corresponds to the date you became the conservator, maybe a state equalized value based on the date you became the conservator, and so on. So you want to get it as close to the date you became the conservator as possible. In addition, the person that you're serving as conservator may own the asset with other people, or may be part of a larger entity like an LLC. So you also want to identify whether they own it jointly, tenants in common, tenants by entireties, whether they are a partner in a larger asset. So in the description side on the far left, you identify the asset and you identify the nature of the ownership. The lien column is whether the asset has a lien on it. So for example, if it's an automobile or a house, is there a mortgage? What is the approximate value of the balance of the mortgage? And then the total value, this says without the reduction for the lien. So this is the gross value. So you've identified the lien amount, and then you're giving the gross value of the asset. So again, you have multiple lines here, and many conservatorship estates, It's plenty of space to complete the form, but if there is more information that you want to provide, of course you can attach additional pieces of paper. In addition, the valuations are often attached. Many of the courts want valuations to show how you concluded at that valuation number. But again, I'll leave that to your lawyer or to the circumstances whether that information is provided. But the idea is to give a complete and accurate reflection of assets upon which you're serving as the inventory. I'm sorry, serving as the conservator. And then there's a spot for the total assets added up. Now understand that this is the snapshot of when you became the conservator. Then on the anniversary date of each calendar year, you're then going to have to do an accounting. So this is really the starting point, and then the accounting will pick up from the inventory for 1 year. So the beginning balance, or the balance set forth in your account, will match your balance as reflected on the inventory, so that as you go forward, they line up neatly and correctly, so that each year you're giving the correct amount that you're beginning with and what you're ending with within the account. And if you have questions about how to do an annual accounting, I've also done videos on this particular responsibility also. The duty of both doing an inventory as well as accounting. It's one of the fiduciary responsibilities when you are the conservator. So again, if you're not good with money, if you're not comfortable in this space, you're in the wrong role. You shouldn't be the fiduciary managing somebody's assets. And again, we strongly urge you to be working with a skilled, competent probate practitioner who understands all these nuances. So you're identifying the assets. These are both liquid, illiquid, personal, and real. They may be a future asset that's going to come in from an inheritance. So you have to understand the nature of the assets to be able to appropriately include them on this inventory. In addition, at the top, you'll see that you may have to amend the inventory. So for example, if you did an inventory, but then you have to update it or correct it, there's a box for you to amend it. And there are times that even there are multiple amendments. So sometimes it may be the first or second or third amendment of the inventory. But again, an inventory is not an accounting. An inventory is a snapshot in time when you became the conservator of the individual. All of the income and expenses will then be reflected on the accounting. With all of these SCAO forms, there's a penalty of perjury clause, and it's an assertion that the information contained that is on this document is true to the best of your information, knowledge, and belief. So again, make sure that you understand that you're signing this document under the penalty of perjury. There's a space for your signature on the left side. There's also a space for an attorney's signature in the event you're working with an attorney as you're filing this inventory with the probate court and then serving it. So an opportunity to identify both the signature and signing space for the conservator as well as the attorney that may be involved. So this inventory is used again in the conservatorship context only, or in the limited circumstances that it would be done within a guardianship. At the Probate Pro, we're passionate about everything probate. If you have a question about the inventory or any probate or trust related issue, visit us at theprobatepro.com or call us at 1-833-PROBATE.